Clip-Inconcievable.
You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Good evening. It's late. I hope you can hear because there's a lot of people coming home, and so you can hear a lot of the traffic. But hopefully you can hear me still. June 22nd. Vicini. Inconceivable. Inigo Montoya. You keep using this word. I do not think it means what you think it means. The Princess Bride. 1987. This is a spiritual program, not a religious one. Does this mean what we think it means? Is 12-steppery a religion? At the core of this religion is the recognition that humans are flawed. Christianity says we are damned because we sin. Buddhism says we lack enlightenment. But religions offer a cure. Jesus and Buddhism can save us. Advertising exploits our propensity to feel incomplete with similar flaw solution gimmicks. You are flawed. Our product will make you feel complete. The 12-step model has some of this flaw solution dogma. We repeatedly admit we are powerless, immoral, and insane. Addiction as a disease is a premise, but it's far from a proven fact. The American Medical Association concurs with the illness model, which gives them license to treat us. Even medicine comes with faith and dogma. Our harshest critics keep using the word cult, but we do not think it means what they think it means. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines a health cult as a system for the cure of a disease based on dogma set forth by the promulgator. In AA's case, the cultish beliefs include the conviction that alcoholics can never drink socially again and must attend meetings. These are tenets AA members follow. However, no one has to accept anyone else's beliefs or deny their own. Reification and dogma raise ye old cult barometer. Weekends with self-help 12-step specialists interpreting the big book for followers promulgate the idea of charismatic leaders. Intensive weekends are fine when they are fellowship-based, but not when they're based on leaders and followers. The existence of leaders and followers signals a program of learned dependency. What does spiritual, not religious, mean to me? Do I ever label others as priests, cardinals, teachers, or gurus? Do I ever treat the literature as sacred or assign magical qualities to the fellowship? I think when I was younger, a lot younger, probably I think it was probably about 19 or 20, maybe 21. And I had gone to my first AA meeting when my dad had let me, he kind of quietly snuck me in. I guess I was a little weary, right? And then I noticed God was kind of in it. And my mom, she would always like make it seem like it was like a satanic membership, that she didn't want to hold hands at the end. She wouldn't say the prayer at the end. What is it? God grant me the wisdom, right? That little prayer. They say the serenity prayer at the end of each meeting. And she just made it sound like it was just the most, it degraded Jehovah. And so, whatever. And I did hold hands with when my dad took me, I did hold hands, and I just didn't know what the serenity prayer was at the time. And now, because I don't believe in God, I do feel like, that's where it starts. That starts off with God grant me, right? And I don't feel that. I just stay really quiet, that part of it. But the rest of the prayer is really beautiful. And I appreciate touching someone else. I get really sweaty hands, and I'm not real, I think it's because of being in a congregation and being young and growing up with lots of people, I feel a lot of anxiety when I'm with big groups of people. My little group is pretty small. I missed it today. I spent some time with my family, and that's okay. So see, I mean, it's not a cult. You don't have to be there. No one's going to call you if you were missing, unless they really missed you and you gave them, you know, your number. Yeah, so I mean, it depends on you and how you feel. As ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, it's hard to go into groups, I think, for a lot of different reasons. And if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you need AA in order for you to stay sober, then you might feel guilty, and you don't need to. It's not like it's a different. My mom always made it sound so awful, and she was active Jehovah's Witness, that my dad would go, and fortunately he had someplace to go, and it was mandated, so he couldn't get away with not going. It allowed him to be accepted and to be able to touch people, you know. And with Jehovah's Witnesses, I mean, you shake hands, it's very glossed over. And the same, it's kind of the same. I mean, you don't have to be best friends with the people that you're holding hands with. That's fine, but it just makes you touch someone, and sometimes you just need a human touch. And for some, that might be the only human touch they get for the next Al-Anon meeting, right? There's a lot of lonely people, and we need human touch. We need hugs. We need acceptance, even if we're difficult. So it's hard. I know it's hard too when you have all this preconceived ideas, old behaviors. You wonder, you know, you don't want to get, again, for me, I don't want to get too connected to any groups to make me feel like I can't continue on my own. So I don't want to be dependent in any way. So when it says, do I ever treat the literature as sacred or assign magical qualities to the fellowship? Yeah, I don't want to do that. So that's why I have this book. And I did go over Courage to Change. I didn't ever talk afterward. And now I like this book better, right? I like the reification and dogma raise ye old cult barometer, and we're sensitive to that as ExJWs, and we don't want to have to deal with. As soon as I see someone who's really good at public speaking and wearing a suit, there's something that just doesn't set with me after a while. So I don't know. Gurus. And it says gurus, teachers, cardinals, priests. I like this, you know. I like this. I like it to be. I like kind of like a quiet family setting. It makes me feel comfortable. I like the women that I go and see. It's a very quiet setting. There's no one that's too boisterous or takes over. Nothing like that. The women are real respectful. And so you can generally see if that's going to be like, if it's going to be like that in your group, if people are respectful to each other, and you're not always going to agree. So to be, you know, to make sure that you feel comfortable in your healing process is probably real. That's what I encourage, is to make sure that you're feeling comfortable in your healing process as an alcoholic or as an Al-Anon member, right? So I think that's how we can get better. So in AA's case, the cultish beliefs include the conviction that alcoholics can never drink socially again and must attend meetings. Yeah, I think you can, you know, so you could skip, and you don't always need the meetings, but there's people that really do need them in order for them to continue to survive in the world. So, you know, it depends on the person. I like how it says addiction as a disease is a premise, but it's far from a proven fact. So at first, when they would call it a disease, I didn't understand that. And I mean, Dr. Mate has something to say about that, and I can't remember exactly, but I like the take on some people and how they view alcoholism. I don't drink, so I mean, it's not a family disease per se. For sometimes the siblings or the children don't drink if they're if they have parents that are alcoholics, and other times they do. And Dr. Mate was explaining that you don't necessarily have to be an addict. Even if you've tried things, most people can get off of that. It's when you've been traumatized as a child, or you started at a very young age when it came to alcohol or drugs. And that makes sense, right? So to me, that makes more sense. My father started drinking probably when he was in the womb, because they didn't know anything about not drinking when you were pregnant. His mom was a drinker. And then also when he was a baby, she would stick vodka in the baby bottles to keep the 11 children that she had quiet. So then by the time they got to about, what, I don't know, probably, he had siblings that were different ages, and I'm sure that they were all sneaking things. And yeah, so they were addicted at very young ages. And you do see it in the family. I mean, I have it in my general family. Yeah, I know that my sibling is a drinker. So, and it's not good. So I know it's a struggle. I think that I'm grateful that I don't drink because I feel better. I think if it wasn't for my blood bleed, I probably would. And I don't think it would be good for me. You know, we don't feel things as strongly, and we can get lost in the drink. It feels good to feel things, even though it doesn't really feel good, but I'm present in the moment and I can't escape it. So then I have to deal with it, and that makes it easier in the long run, so that I'm dealing with it instead of like putting it in the background and not really taking care of what I'm feeling, not writing it down, not addressing it at the time, and going through the emotions of whatever it is that I'm feeling to get through it. So yeah, I hope this helps you on your healing journey. I love that they compared it to a cult, because I know my husband does too. And he's been to one Thanksgiving and he hasn't been to anything. We did Thanksgiving at the Canyon Club as a family, and they had a vegan meal. It was really yummy. I loved it. It was delicious. And they had dessert, and it was so nice. I really enjoyed it. So I had Thanksgiving at the Canyon Club with a bunch of Al-Anon members and AA members, and I took my family was willing to come with me, and we all got to hang out. And yeah, you got to hear someone have they express themselves with their experience. They'll pick a couple of speakers, and I loved the speakers that they chose. It was a man and a woman. They were married, and both shared what it felt like to be married and going through the wife was explaining Al-Anon and how she was able to cope with her husband and his alcoholism. And then there was a young man who had been in and out of prison, and he explained how hard it was for him to get sober. One of his sponsors had told him to get down on his hands and knees and pray. And he said, I don't pray because I don't care. You pray, you make yourself pray. And I think when my husband heard that, it was something that he just wasn't able to accept. And I think that that's where you have to be an observer and get to a point, if you are no longer, your beliefs in God are gone, that you just are an observer of somebody else's feelings, but you don't have to bring that into to the way that you feel, right? And try and understand, just be understanding about other people's choices of beliefs. And I think it was interesting because the gentleman, did express his frustration about how he couldn't believe in a God, and his frustration that he was supposed to believe in a God. It was sad. The belief in God was the premise of being able to, it promoted that he would be able to stop his drinking when he couldn't. And Dr. Mate explains that too. He explains that unfortunately the United States has taken the stand that, you know, if you are an addict of both, of drugs, and if it also leaks into the alcoholism, that if you don't believe in God, then that's why you are not able to stop your addictions. And that's not true. So I think now I realize that can be really, it can be really devastating for someone who doesn't ever want to believe in God. That's it, right? Any God. And that's, they see it as a weakness. The United States sees it as a weakness, not being able to hold on to the God belief with coming to terms with your addiction. So I'm grateful that I have this, and I am grateful that I have people that don't believe and you can still get strong, you can still recuperate from pain and be able to do that and know that you are the one that is doing it, not anything else. And that's so relieving, especially because for years I always thought, I just wasn't strong enough. But it wasn't that at all, that I couldn't do it on my own, but the weaknesses were because of I just didn't do things right with God. Now I know the weaknesses are just because I'm human and we don't get it all right, and we don't have to, and that's okay. And we can accept ourselves the way we are, and we can always change and get better, right? To get better and to progress. And sometimes it's just little baby steps. That's it. And to know that I did it makes me feel strong. And to look back at what I've done, yeah, again, I can see, I'm grateful that I was able to do it with my own strength. And I enjoy that the people that I associate with there are like tuning forks. And they just kind of help me along the way. And the people that I've met through here have helped me along the way to tune me up where I need to improve and be better, be a better person. So thank you for letting me share. I hope everything is well with you. I hope you're doing well. I hope your families are doing well. We made it. We got another day in. Yay! I'm so excited. Big hug. And follow your bliss. Be good humans.